Welcome to another edition of WIN TV, Washington Informer News, bringing you news that matters. I'm your host, Denise Rollard-Barnes, publisher of the Washington Informer, and we're so glad that you've decided to join us today. If you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and hit share so your friends can see the broadcast. We certainly would like to have so many other people participate in our broadcast and to share it among particularly those of you who might be in the DMV, because, and that's DC, Maryland, Virginia, for those who are not in the DMV, to know what we famously call our own community. And have them to join the show and participate and give us their feedback. We certainly love having you here with us. And again, like I said, if you're watching on Twitter, be sure to follow us. And if you're a TikTok user, follow us there as well. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Washington Informer TV. All one word, Washington Informer TV. Please subscribe. Well, I hope you've already picked up the latest issue of the Washington Informer. I always like to show the latest issue. And were you all, any of you all out there at that bike ride this weekend? I mean, there were thousands who rode across the city with the mayor and others. And that's the folks we have featured on our cover this week, as well as stories from our reporters. We're talking about Sam P.K. Collins, our education writer, who has an A1 story on some of the questions that parents are asking about virtual learning options. That's a big issue during COVID particularly. And then William Ford was at the McAuliffe-Youngkin debate this week, and he has some highlights from that. And of course, there's a story about the 10 Black women that filed a class action suit against the Metropolitan Police Department, written by James Wright. So our staff has been really busy trying to bring you news that you can use and can be a topic of conversation, and keeping you up to date on what's happening here in the nation's capital. If you haven't picked up a copy of the Washington Informer, you can read our digital edition. It's online at www.washingtoninformer.com. And while you're there, we hope that you will subscribe to the Washington Informer so that we can send you news and our updated newspaper every week that comes out on Thursday. You can call our office too to find out where you can get a copy of the Informer at local newsstands. Our number here is 561-4100. That's 202. We're going to talk about that too. DC is adding a new area code, which means that from the way I understand it, Chevy, we need to get somebody on to talk about that, because now, for those of us who've been in DC for all of our lives, we're just used to dialing a number with no area code. Well, it looks like we're going to have to start adding the area code when we make our phone calls, because the district has run out of 202 numbers, and now they're adding another area code for local residents. City's growing, you all. It's growing by heaps and bounds. Is that the leaps and bounds? Leaps and bounds. It's growing. Let's just say it's growing by people, and those people need extra area codes. And so anyway, that's that. Our paper, we also have another edition that comes out every week called WI Bridge. And it's a section of the paper or its own supplement to the Washington Informer that's written by millennials for millennials. And I can't be more proud of my son, Lafayette Barnes, who is the publisher of The Bridge, and he's doing a fantastic job. So The Bridge is inside of this edition of Washington Informer. And so make sure you pick up a copy so that you can see what The Bridge is doing and what I think this issue is really talking about young leaders, particularly males, which is interesting. Black males are doing in the area of media in the city. So he's a great journalist. They're talking about a few good journalists who are writing for the paper. And if you're interested in even becoming part of the Bridge staff, reach out to us here at the Washington Informer, or you can reach out to Lafayette. His email address is lafayette@wibridgedc.com. And if you're thinking also, or if you, like I said, kind of just stay with us as we continue to bring, after the show, as we bring on Bridge TV, which comes on immediately following our show with what's going on DC and the media prints and sounds of the DMV. That follows right after Win TV at 1 o'clock. So make sure you stay tuned, and continue to watch. Today, we'll be talking to vendor coach Cecilia Penn Diallo about her book, How to Go from Zero to $100,000. Pamela Taylor, also Senior Vice President and Chief Communications and Marketing Officer for Share Our Strength, is here today to talk about the organization behind the No Kid Hungry campaign. And there are a lot of hungry children across the world, but believe it or not, right here in the nation's capital. So we're so glad to talk to her to find out about this campaign that's meeting the needs of our local children who are in need of food. Brenda Siler, our contributing writer for the Washington Informer, is sharing her conversation with Sheldon Epps, Senior Artistic Director at Ford's Theater, about a new play, My Lord, What a Night, that'll be opening actually today or tonight at the Ford's Theater and running through October 24th. The play looks at the relationship between opera singer Marian Anderson and, believe it or not, physicist Albert Einstein. A must see. So let's hear right now from our broadcast reporter, Curtis Knowles.
This is Win TV News, bringing you the news that matters. After over 25 years of accusations, former R&B singer R. Kelly has been found guilty of over 14 charges, including sexual exploitation of a child, bribery, racketeering, and sex trafficking. Kelly faces a possible sentence of 10 to life. On top of awaiting sentencing, Kelly will also face a second federal trial on charges of child pornography and obstruction of justice in Illinois. Attorney Gloria Allred, who represented 3 of the 6 victims, said that the verdict was also a message to other celebrities who prey on others. Prince George's County holds the largest African American population in any Maryland jurisdiction. The district is set to honor the heritage of its residents by naming the month of September African Heritage Month. The 2020 census showed the county's African American population accounted for nearly 67% of its total residents. Prince George's County Executive Angela Alsobrooks proclaimed, "We have been certainly made richer and have certainly been made better off because of the many contributions of the African diaspora community." The DC region is close to running out of phone numbers with the 202 area code. The North American Numbering Plan Administrator said the area code, which has been in use since 1947, would be exhausted by the year 2022. The administrator is assigning the new area code for the region as 771. People who still have the 202 area code will still retain it during the transition. The number will be set to go into effect on October 9th. The House on Tuesday passed a bill seeking to eliminate the racial disparity of drug offenses. The bill in question is the H.R. 1693, or the Equal Act. The Equal Act is set to remove conspiracy charges, which have contributed to numerous years of sentencing for drug offenses, particularly against African Americans. According to the Human Rights Watch, an international advocacy group, African Americans comprise 62% of all drug offenders admitted to state prisons, while whites only make up 36%. D.C. Attorney General Karl Racine addressed the bill, saying, "By eliminating the disparity entirely, the bill would address long-standing racial discrimination in our criminal justice system. This reform is overdue." This is Curtis Knowles with Win TV News.
Thank you, Curtis. Always appreciate that, and glad that he added in that news broadcast again about the area code, and we will new area code coming to Washington D.C. So we'll be getting someone on to share more information with you all as we move along. Before we bring on our first guest, last week the Washington Informer staff was invited to the National Portrait Gallery, where one of our former photographers and current photographer for Mayor Muriel Bowser was surprised by the mayor, his family, and friends for the aerial photo of Black Lives Matter being curated by the Portrait Gallery. In essence, Khalid has a photo in the National Portrait Gallery. It was an exciting event. And the photo, for those who want to go by and see it, is in the Riley Gallery on the second floor in an exhibit called Block by Block, Naming Washington. It's about neighborhoods and iconic places in neighborhoods and really history of those neighborhoods. So the photograph will be on display until January 16th of 2023. We are so excited to share a short video with you, but make sure you go by to see the photograph at the National Portrait Gallery to see it for yourself.
We were working for the Informer. He took a picture of me on election day that remains my favorite, and it's on the walls of Ben's Chili Bowl.
When I found out about the street, we was in the office, and they said the mayor had this great idea that she was going to make the street Black Lives Matter Plaza. I'm thinking like, okay, it's going to be a street, but I didn't know the magnitude of what was happening until that morning. It was like, we need to be on 16th Street at like 3 o'clock in the morning. It's like, okay. And when I got down and saw the magnitude of it, I was like, how do I capture this? And I was like, I need to be up high to capture it. So she created something. I captured it, but thought about a Black Lives Matter street one. So it was the mayor envisioned it. This is her creation. I captured it. And it was just, I never knew how powerful a landscape picture could be. I've been a photographer for quite some time. I've covered everything from inaugurations to having our first Black president hand on the Bible. I thought that was the epic moment of my career. But this one landscape picture has changed the dynamic around the world, and it's because of our mayor.
Congratulations, Khalid Naji Allah, for having your photograph now in the National Portrait Gallery. Of course, your photograph has been shown all over the world, and I know that you're excited about that, but you couldn't be more excited than we are here with your family at the Washington Informer. One, to have had you as a part of our staff, but also to have had Khalid to go on and leave us to become the mayor's official photographer. And now look. So, great things can happen at little places like the Washington Informer if you have the belief in the spirit. And Khalid has an amazing story to tell about how he even got into photography. So if you see him out there on the street with his camera, give him a shout out, tell him congratulations, and make sure you go by the National Portrait Gallery to see his photograph. Also, earlier this week, we witnessed the first all-female command team set to lead Joint Base Anacostia Bowling 11th Wing. Chevy Lassiter, a photographer, was there on the scene, and she's going to share this exciting news.
Joint Base Anacostia Bowling, located between the Potomac and Anacostia Rivers off of Interstate 295 in the Anacostia and Congress Heights areas in Southeast, and the 11th Wing welcomed a new commander in a change of command ceremony on September 28th on Joint Base Anacostia's bowling ceremonial lawn. Colonel Mike Zulsdorf relinquished command of the Joint Base and Host Wing to Colonel Cat Logan, now the second commander of the wing. Standing with Colonel Logan was Erica Robbie, JBAB and 11th Wing Vice Commander, and Chief Master Sergeant Christy Peterson, JBAB Senior Enlisted Leader and 11th Wing Command Chief.
In my role, I serve as the advisor to the commander, advising her on the effective utilization of all enlisted personnel when it comes to professional development, when it comes to morale, when it comes to readiness, when it comes to their health and their welfare. I advise the commander in that capacity.
Wearing this uniform is an incredible honor, first and foremost, and then anytime you're put into a position of leadership, that's an honor as well. The entire Air Force and the men and women of the 11th Wing are placing their trust and confidence in us to lead, and that's exactly what we're going to do, and we couldn't be more proud.
I am an example of that, being in the position that I'm in, for all the opportunities that the Air Force has afforded me throughout my career of 25 years of service, that they can to stand where I stand today.
So I was blessed to have them in the position already, and I'm joining them, and I couldn't be more proud. I would have picked them because they are the absolute best, and I'm so grateful to have them by my side as I come into this position.
The three women represent the first ever all-female wing command team for Joint Base Anacostia Bowling in the 11th Wing. They are also one of the first all-female command teams in the U.S. Air Force.
Thank you so much, Chevry. And that was really exciting. Of course, Joint Base Anacostia is right down the street from us over here in Ward 8. And to have these women now who lead that 11th Wing, and it's just really exciting. So I'm glad that we were there to share this opportunity with, and we want you to share this with the folks that you know out there. Some people have their feelings about the military, but we're glad to have these women there, and particularly a woman of color. So we're going to move on now to a video with before our next guest, before we talk to Pamela Taylor, and then right back with Pamela Taylor.
Public art is really a form of history documentation. What we want to be remembered down the line. I'd love to hear from you all how you've been feeling, what you've been dealing with.
The people talking, symbolizing that we can all actually end coronavirus.
That the students are involved and that they're being able to say their piece. I don't think that they always get their own voice or get taken seriously.
People out there coming together, helping each other out, giving away free food, and just hand out food to people who need a lot of food.
Everybody's affected in different ways. We're all wanting to hide and not deal with the world. There are people who don't have a choice, and they're the only reason that we're getting by. I really want to make sure that we're commemorating and highlighting those people. This showed us more than ever that we need change. We need to reimagine things because a lot of things weren't working before.
Wow, that's powerful. Pamela Taylor, thank you for joining us here on WIN TV. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. How are you doing today?
I'm great. It's Friday.
Yes.
But at any rate, tell us about Share Our Strength and what's its mission. And I mean, that video with Trap Bob was really powerful, but particularly hear the voice of children. So tell us about Share Our Strength.
Sure. Share Our Strength is an organization that's been around since 1984. We are a national organization. Our mission is to end poverty and hunger in the U.S. and abroad. No easy feat, but we are working hard towards that mission. Here in the U.S., we're focused on our No Kid Hungry campaign, which is about childhood hunger and ending childhood hunger. And we've been doing that work now for about 10 or 11 years.
When we talk about childhood hunger, can you paint a picture for us about, what the need is? We hear a lot of stories, and COVID has been, really brought it front and center, because we know schools have been the places where children often get that breakfast, that lunch, and if they're in after-school programs, sometimes that dinner. And some of those programs are being threatened right now. So, but what is the need?
So let's start with the need. The need has been so high and so great for so many years, but just like you said, Denise, the coronavirus pandemic really exacerbated how many people were just maybe one paycheck away from being hungry or facing food insecurity. And then when the schools closed because of the pandemic, where so many children, like you just mentioned, got their meals mostly every single day, breakfast, lunch, sometimes an after school meal, or even dinner. Part of the work that we do through the No Kid Hungry campaign is just that. We provide grants to schools and school districts and community-based organizations all across the country, including here in Washington, D.C., to make sure children get 3 healthy meals a day.
How were the cities selected? How did you determine where what cities you were going to support programs in?
So for our regular programming, we support more than 3,000 cities across the country. But for this particular campaign, for which that video is a part of, our rebuilding campaign was focused on 5 cities here in DC, Atlanta, LA, Detroit, and Queens. We selected those cities because the schools and community-based organizations in those locations pivoted and reacted within hours and days in some sense to figure out, how do we get kids fed? Kids that were coming into our school buildings every single day, coming to our organizations every single day to get meals, they're not here anymore because we're not open. So here in DC, I love the story that the documentary tells about our partner with DC Central Kitchen. Not only do they make sure that children get fed and people get access to the food that they need, but the people that work there, they are the ones that used to be facing hunger. And so they're rebuilding their lives by working at DC Central Kitchen. So this video tells really a comprehensive story of those that are in need and how DC Central Kitchen and the No Kid Hungry campaign are working together to make sure folks have access to food, especially during the crisis. And then it tells a beautiful story of people who have been rebuilding their lives because of this organization. Anywhere from $5 to millions of dollars. We receive support from foundations. The money comes from so many different places. And I have to say, during the pandemic last year, organizations and corporations and individuals that had never given us a dime called to say, how much do you need? What can we do? We see the work that your dollars are doing all across the country, and we want to be able to help. The humanity of America showed up in incredible ways last year to make sure we had the funds that we needed to distribute. From March of 2020 through just this week, we have issued $98.8 million in grants across the country to make sure kids and families can get the food they need.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's a great success story, if you can call it success, at a time when we're talking about feeding, an everyday need of people needing food to eat, and particularly children. And in this initiative, it looks like, you have the artist that we saw was Trap Bob. We know her work very well, but I'm curious about what was it about her that you decided, or the organization decided, to use her as pretty much a spokesperson?
So as you mentioned, Trap Bob is an amazing artist, and she has done some beautiful work. We wanted someone who knew the city, who felt the city, who was of the city, and who could connect with children. And Trap Bob is so wonderful at doing that. The mural that she's painted for us is in Adams Morgan, and she listened to kids. She talked to them, and she heard their feelings of what they experienced during the pandemic, and really what they're hoping for, what their inspiration is. And she was able to capture that in the beautiful mural that she painted for us.
That's wonderful. One of the things that I noticed in the cities that you selected, all of them have pretty large Black and brown populations. And I'm wondering if this means, again, going back to why those cities were selected, and also how this program may evolve into ways in which families, if even on limited income, can, grow in supporting. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to get to your Cooking Matters program, because
Oh, sure.
That's one of the things that, sometimes you wonder. I mean, kids are getting meals, but those weekends, are times when the programs may not be operating and they're home and they still need food. So is
Absolutely.
Cooking Matters, is that something that was created to address the problem when no kids, food for kids, is not available?
So Cooking Matters is another program under Share Our Strength within our organization. And you are exactly right. So hunger faces about 1 in 6 children are facing hunger right now. And we do everything we can to make sure during the school day and during the school week, kids get access to those meals. But just like you said, on the weekends, then what happens? So Cooking Matters is our nutrition education program. And what we do during Cooking Matters is not only help families come together to cook meals together, to learn how to prepare healthy meals, but we also talk about financials, budgeting, what to look for in the grocery store so that you can stretch your dollars, because we're all trying to stretch our dollars every single month. And finding ways to prepare meals that are within a budget, that are healthy, that kids like, because no one wants to spend their money on food that their kids are not going to eat. So that's part of what the Cooking Matters program does. We do grocery store tours to help people understand the importance of shopping the perimeter. The perimeter is where you find the produce section and fresh foods. And, in the middle is where the fun stuff is, but we don't always want to spend our money there. And the Cooking Matters program has been around for about 15 years, and it is still going strong. That's another program that we had to adjust during the pandemic because we used to do in-person cooking classes, and we weren't able to do those anymore. So there are a lot of videos and instructional videos and recipes on our Cooking Matters website if people were still not getting out into restaurants as much as we'd like. And the fall and winter are coming and we all kind of hunker down and want to cook more foods then. So please visit our Cooking Matters website to get information that you might need there.
Can we get the website information? We want to post that for our viewers as well as your website for Share Our Strength.
Yes, so I will share all of those with you. NoKidHungry.org is on the screen, /rebuild. That's where you can learn more about our rebuild campaign, the 5 murals across the country that we've done. And like I said, here in DC, Atlanta, LA, Detroit, and Queens. We have beautiful, powerful mini documentaries. They're about 5 or 6 minutes each. And I encourage folks to take a look at those to see the incredible work that was done by school districts to get food to kids during the pandemic last year while the schools were closed. We're still rebuilding. So there's a lot that folks can do. If you visit NoKidHungry.org, you can find more information. You can also go to cookingmatters.org, which is the site for our nutrition education program. There are recipes, there's instructional videos, there's a lot of helpful tools and resources there. Like I said, as we prepare to go into this fall and winter months and folks are getting ready to be inside and it's getting dark sooner and all of those things. And we all tend to want to cook a little bit more when it's cold for some reason. But the important thing for what No Kid Hungry is doing is making sure kids get 3 healthy meals a day. Hunger is a huge problem, but it is also a solvable problem. Back in 2018, 2019, we started to see the lowest rates of childhood hunger across the country. And those increases and improvements were wiped out by the pandemic. So we're working hard to rebuild and get back to where we were before the pandemic. And all of you are great supporters. And those of you who are new to the No Kid Hungry organization and campaign, we would love to have you visit our website, learn more about us, and support our work.
Pamela, this is really fantastic. And I'm glad you could take some time to spend with us today and to share this program with our viewers. And I'm sure that we often look at our children in our communities and hope that they have a great meal, but need to know where to maybe tell their parents or, and I know we are going to probably have to end this conversation, but the thing that really does, a lot of kids are pretty much on their own. So if they, don't have someone to lead them to a program like DC, the program that you're supporting here in the District of Columbia, can children just walk in on their own? I mean, how is that
So
communicated to them? Because their
you're
parents may
exactly
not be.
right. So
Yeah.
many children and families want to know where can they go to get food if they need it. So a couple of things. You can go to our website and look at our free meal finder map. Put in your zip code, put in your address, and it will tell you right in your community where there are places where you can go to find meal distribution centers. The other thing is you can always text 877-877. Same thing, put in your zip code, and you will receive a text where there are food and meal distribution centers right in your zip code, neighborhood, and community. We want to make sure everybody knows where they can go to access food. And that's not just right here in DC. So for those of you who are listening outside of the DMV, the free meal finder map works all over the country. And the same with our texting line, 877-877.
I got you. Okay. Well, we're going to follow up on this with a story in the Washington Informer. Our reporter, Natalie Hockaday, will probably be contacting you as well, because I am, just really concerned about a lot of the kids that are out here, like I said, on their own, hungry, no real parental support. We're talking about what's happening in our communities. And, would probably do so much better if they just knew a place where they could go and be fed. So thank you so much for sharing this program with us. And we look to learn more and find ways that we can help to support as well.
Excellent. I appreciate you giving the time for me to talk about some of our work. I would be delighted to come back. There's so much more I can share, resources for families. We're watching Capitol Hill right now, the child tax credit, which is another incredible resource that's available to families. We're working hard to make sure that gets extended. So let's find some time. I'll come back and talk more about that and some of the other ways that families can find access and resources to help them make sure that they and their children are not going hungry.
Fantastic. Let's do it. Thanks, Pamela. All right. I tell you, that it is a big concern. We just did a story this week on the increasing numbers of grandparents who are now raising grandchildren. And of course, the age of grandparents now is becoming much younger. You have grandparents who are in their late 30s, early 40s. They're getting custody of children who have come from abusive households. And these grandparents need support as well. And so there's a lot going on in our community, folks, that we really need to get a handle on. And thank goodness for programs like Share Our Strength that are providing resources to communities right here. So moving on, we have coming to us now Cecilia Penn Diallo. I want to thank Cecilia for joining us. And it's not a great segue, but it's a good one anyway, because that's what we're talking about. How do we go from 0 to 100,000, which is the name of a book that you just recently published. And I'm wondering if that's part of your story as well, Cecilia.
Well, yes, we have some similar stories, and I'm just excited to be here with you, Ms. Denise. Thank you so much for having me today.
My pleasure.
We have my book that I wrote, A Vendor's Guide to Success, How to Go from 0 to 100K. So it has my story in it, because I went from bankruptcy to 100K. So
Wow.
if I can do it, anyone can do it. And so I'm just happy to be here to discuss the book with you today.
Yeah. So tell us, so what's a vendor coach?
Sure. So the vendor coach has 2 tracks. So I either encourage and mentor small businesses to actually launch. And that's what the book is about. A lot of us have ideas. A lot of us have gifts and talents that we can monetize. And so a lot of people don't actually do it. They just say, oh, I'll put it off. I'll do it, next year. It'll be on my 2022 vision board, and we never get to it. So it's a big encouragement to actually get small businesses to actually launch and start the business, as well as focusing on event directors, program directors who have events which have vendors involved, people who are showcasing their products and services, having a win-win situation so that when you have your vendors, they can promote your event. You have a quality event because you have quality vendors, as well as they can be able to promote their services and their products. So I do 2 tracks. I do mentoring and coaching, which came about as the vendor coach because I'm being from Washington, D.C., Southeast D.C. Represent.
All right, in the house.
I'm excited. My grandmother, who I've picked up the legacy, had jewelry and accessories. So I went everywhere with her. We were, down at the convention center all the time, vending, doing different things. And so I learned a lot from her. And so when my business coach and mentor said, Cece, you got to put this in a book and give this to people because a lot of people just don't know what they should be doing. And I said, okay, let's do it. I kind of was like, writing a book, it's a little unnerving,
Right.
but I went on, we pushed through, we got it done. And I'm just excited because I want to share the tidbits, the things. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. You can do it,
Let's go back though, because you talked about your mentor.
Yes.
So, who encouraged you. So discuss that relationship. How did you go out and find a mentor or find someone who would actually mentor you? Because that's a story I hear a lot about, people looking for someone and they just don't find that right person to help get them from one place to the other. Of course, you are willing to do that as the vendor coach, but how did you find your mentor?
Well, Ms. Denise, I'm going to tell you, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. And it takes time because you got to make sure you have the right person and the right fit.
Right.
And you kind of got to make sure that you are in alignment with that person. And so it took me a while. I would say it took me over a year because I was searching. I was like, I want to take my business to the next level. How do I do that? Where do I go? And it just happened. God just provided me to be in the right place at the right time. I heard my mentor speak, Rochelle Wilson, and I said, I was like, it was all she wrote ever since then. So I encourage people to not give up. If you're looking for that mentorship, it may not be with me, it may be with someone else, but don't give up. Continue to look for it because mentorship is big. And that is the reason why it pushes you to that next level. People that come to me that do mentoring, the vendor coach with me, I push them because we all need to be stretched and we have the gifts and talents. So why not utilize them and monetize them at the same time?
One of the things that excited me this week at Art All Night, I'm really glad that the city has this event. It's a citywide event. People were out all over the place, but in your home section of DC, where I live as well, to see all of the vendors, I don't know. I mean, COVID gave birth to a lot of small businesses, a lot of artists, people who are creating all kinds of things. And so I just was thrilled to see some of the folks out there vending who probably need your advice and counsel, but they were doing okay. It's just, how do they grow? So maybe you can tell us, 1 or 2 little tidbits about what they can find if they read your book or if they decide to engage you.
So sure. The book is like soups to nuts, and I call it's an easy read because first of all, I'm authentic to myself.
How many pages? How many pages?
It's only about 100, 110, 115 pages.
Oh yeah, that's an overnight. Yes, you can do that.
I'm not going to write a book, Miss Denise, that I'm not going to read. Okay. So we wrote a book, but the book is here because it's supposed to sit on your nightstand. You're supposed to go back to it and say, what did Cece say about customer service? What did she say about how my table setup should be? So we go from everything from utilizing free services for marketing to how do you set up your table? How do you engage with your customers? How do you show them that they should come and vend and purchase from you? That's a big thing. And really customer service. Customer service is big. I'm big on that, Miss Denise. I'm big on that.
Hey, you gotta be, because that's who pays that's who pays your light bill, your customers, your gas bill, your car note, your customers. So you gotta treat them right.
Gotta treat them right from day one when they step foot in your booth, when they step foot, when they make the phone call, when they send the email, when they send you a message on Facebook. You have to value your customers, and from the beginning, take it seriously. And don't just think, oh, they're kind of just asking me for pricing, because you never know. That could be your biggest order.
Well, I know that probably is the best advice that's in your book. I know that there's probably a whole lot more, but that probably is one of the key things. Now, what besides your book? How are you a vendor now as well?
Yes, ma'am. So I
Okay.
have a successful jewelry and accessories company. I am
Okay.
debuting my own handbag line, my own lip gloss line. So God has just been so good. And so I have the vendor coach with the mentoring and the business coaching. And then as well, I vend. I go to various different showcases around the city. And I teach people as well, which is a new way of life, how to do lives. So you may be doing Facebook lives with selling now. You may be doing Instagram. You may be doing some Twitter or things of that nature. So how do you now come across to your audience online? Because you can't do a lot of in person right now. We're opening up, but still a lot of people are still on online based. And so how do you pivot? How do you now turn your business that you used to be in front of someone each and every time, now do it online? So I work with people in that. And then we've just been glad that from that, a lot of the other lines that I've been producing as far as my jewelry and accessories, hint, hint, it will be coming out soon, and it's out now. And I'm just grateful for what God has been doing. I
I
really am.
love it. I love it. I just really appreciate you being on today because, one of the things that we said we wanted to do as a business, in the information business, is to share more of this information with folks out there in the community.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
you're kind of helping to launch that for us. And so you're somebody we want to have on from time to time to talk about
Absolutely.
innovation and pivoting and all of that, because I
Yes,
think
ma'am.
COVID did require businesses, even vendors, to figure out, okay, what do I do? What do I
What do
do?
I do?
Yeah. And did you have a panic moment when COVID started, or
Oh
were you
gosh,
already prepared?
that March, that March, when they shut everything down that Friday, I had so many different shows lined up. I had, some big events with a lot of the sororities, aka deltas and things like that, that were, kind of money makers, Miss Denise. And
Yeah.
so those were closed down. Those were no more. So at a mentoring session with my mentor, I said, well, I'm thinking about doing this online thing. And she said, yeah. We started playing with it. We did our different ideas. And from that, we were able to pivot and move to an online environment. And so we've just been grateful to master that. And so now I'm sharing the lessons that I've learned, the things that I've learned over the past year and a half with pivoting online. And I just had tremendous success during the pandemic. I was just trying to do this as a hobby to kind of gain some extra income. It turned into a thing, Miss Denise, and I just went from the 0 to 100K in a matter of about 7 or 8 months. And I was like, okay, we're all home shopping. Let's figure out how I can work this. And so now, with those blessings, I am now trying to teach people how to do the same thing that I am doing, because we all have gifts and talents. You may make mugs. You make him, personalized stationery. You may have a jewelry making business. You may do clothing. So how can you now showcase it when you're not in front of people, but still monetize that and be able to be successful? So I'm just grateful that we've had this opportunity to actually kind of show the world that it can be done.
At what point, Cecilia, did sometimes we start these businesses and it's like, it's just not going. At
Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
point did you feel like, wait a minute, I've got something here, where you felt, okay, this is something worth really putting my time, all of my time and effort into? I know your mentor probably encouraged you, as we said before, but there had to have been some moment when you said, okay, this is working.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Definitely.
pre-COVID, if it happened pre-COVID, that's what I'm saying
Well,
too.
my grandmother played a big part in the business that I have right now. I got a lot of the determination, the tenacity, and when I tell you, Miss Denise, she left a legacy. So I honor her, and I am grateful that I'm able to carry that on.
What's her name?
Um, Her name is Joan Savoy Penn, a
Okay.
staple in the DC Southeast community, honey. Yes,
Okay.
indeed. So I'm little Cecilia. Some may know my grandmother. I'm Cecilia. The little one was tagging along with her everywhere she went. Um, but during that time period, and I would say it was probably even pre-COVID, I knew what I liked, right? And everybody, when I started, when my grandmother passed away, about a couple of years later, I started back up the business. And so when I started back up the business, I kind of knew that that was my purpose. Wasn't quite sure how to navigate it, was doing different things that I knew. But I knew that that is what I wanted to do. So giving me that kind of like online presence kind of just pushed it even further, not realizing that that was going to happen. I was just doing it because, okay, we're sitting at home and I needed kind of, maybe try to move some inventory. But that gave me that push that was like, oh gosh, this really could work. You really have something here. People are really gravitating towards you, Cecilia. People are kind of listening to you, Cecilia. So, you got something. So let's kind of push and run with it. So I'm just grateful for the legacy that she left. I'm grateful for all of the nuggets, which I talk about her heavily in my book, that she left me. And I was just excited about it. And I'm just like ready to kind of go to that next level.
Wonderful. Now, a question I feel like folks might need to know, because
Yes, ma'am.
you seem like, I mean, you've got what I see is a fantastic personality, one that
Thank
even if you weren't interested in, the people go out and say, I'm not buying today, I'm just going to look.
Yes.
You would make somebody buy something. But not everybody has that personality, right? Not everybody.
Yes,
they've got the idea, they've got a great product, they've got a great presentation, but the customer comes up and they sort of let the customer do their thing. They're maybe more introverted. How can a person like that be successful in a business like this?
Now that is where I would consider partnership involved. So even though we all have our gifts and talents, and not everybody is supposed to be in front of the camera. Okay. And I warn against that too, because we don't want anybody in front of the camera that should not be in front of the camera. Okay.
Gotcha.
So that is where you may want to have some partnerships, some thought partnerships, somebody that may have the personality that can be the face, but everything else can come from you. May be in the dark room creating. That may be your space. You may have the business acumen. That may be your space. So find someone, if you need a face, that you can partner with, that you trust, that can move that business forward. Because unfortunately, you do have to, if you can't be the face, someone does have to be the face of the business and put it out there and promote it and different things like that. But that doesn't mean you have to, because you may have your gifts and talents elsewhere. But that is where I would encourage some type of partnership to be involved, so that there can be a win-win for both of those people.
Well, last question for you
Yes, ma'am.
is, do you have to have 100,000 K or 100K to purchase your book, or or to have you as a vendor coach?
No, you do not. And matter of fact, I'm going to be launching some webinar courses that will be very affordable, that you can take my course. They'll be located on my website, which is www.ceciliapenn.com. So look forward to that coming in the month of November. But the book is $24.99 on Amazon. If you buy it from my website, you will get a signed copy and a bookmark. Just hint. If you buy it from my website, but it's located on Amazon and through my website. And by no means do you have to have 100K to start a business. We talk about that. I took $500 and flipped it. And some people, you may not even have that. So we'll work with that. So it can be less than that. Because before I even had the $500, I had $0. Do you understand?
I understand.
So I teach people, we've got to work that thing. We're going to take this 25 and we're going to flip that into 100, and we're going to work that 100 and we're going to flip that into 250. So it's okay. It's all right. You don't have to have this huge, everybody wants an investor or somebody to give them, $5,000, $10,000. You don't have to have that. And that's what I talk about in the book. That's what I coach with all of my mentees, that take what we have, let's work that, and then let's flip it to the next level.
Well, I certainly want to thank you. Got a fan club growing out here. I don't know if you
Oh,
know
thank
these
you.
folks: Jacqueline Pryor, Carol Dennis Betts, Diana Johnson, Rochelle Wilson, Joy Proctor. I mean, folks are just. I mean,
Thank you.
it's
Thank you
been
so much,
exciting to me
guys.
to see
Thank
so
you.
many, folks responding to what you're saying. So clearly, people need the message or want the message that you're communicating and need that encouragement. And if you're one of those who actually took the coaching sessions or have a small business and you've been encouraged by the vendor coach, reach out to us because we'd like to see how that worked for you. And maybe we can get you back
Yes.
on and have one of your vendors to come on to talk about their success. I mean, each one bring one, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
All
ma'am.
right.
That's the only way we're going to grow. That's the only way we're going to grow.
Right. Thank you so much for being with us today
Thank you,
and
Miss
for all
Denise.
of your encouraging words. And I need to find out, how can I find out about that new handbag line?
Oh, sure. This is called the Cecilia J Collection. And we'll be actually doing some pre-orders this coming weekend. The bag is coming hopefully in about 3 weeks. I'm just kind of waiting for that shipping, that tracking number to update. So we all be in prayer for that. But yes, it's called the Cecilia J Collection. You will find out more on my website, ceciliapenn.com. And you could just go on Instagram or Facebook. It's the Cecilia J Collection.
Well, we're going to make sure that folks spend their money in the right places for the holidays. So we're going to have you back on for before the holidays so that
Yes,
they know
ma'am.
where to buy those gifts. So again, thank you so much for being with us today, and congratulations and good luck. And I'm going to get a copy of that book.
Thank you, Miss Denise. Thank you so much.
All righty. Have a good one. Yeah, that's we need those words of motivation sometimes, things that help us to we get stuck, which was a question we were going to ask, but we know we get stuck. We have these great ideas and we just don't know. We need words of encouragement. So I think she did that for us, and we're going to get her back and some more folks. So if you have a small business, don't hesitate. Give us a call or reach out to us at news@washingtoninformer.com. We want to promote small businesses or businesses that we want that may be small, but we want to help to grow here at WIN TV. So we hope to hear from you soon. We're now going to take a moment to hear from an interview with our contributing writer, Brenda Siler, who did an interview this week with Sheldon Epps of Ford's Theater. So we want you to take a look at that. And then following that, we're going to have Bridge TV and what's going on DC with the media prints and, of course, sounds of the DMV. So I'm going to sign off and keep watching. And again, we hope to hear from you. Tell friends about WIN TV. Get folks to tune in. We have some great guests and some great conversations, and we want you to continue to participate. So have a great weekend, but don't go away.
Hello, this is WIN TV. I'm Brenda Siler, contributing writer for the Washington Informer. Our guest today is Sheldon Epps. Sheldon is the senior artistic advisor at Ford's Theater here in Washington, D.C. Sheldon, why was it important for you to tackle this production, this topic? Tell us about that.
Well, I've always been interested in stories, be they about lesser known people or famous people, stories about historical events or relationships that we don't know much about. And I think this play is so interesting because, like everybody else, when I tell them what the play is about, when I was told, I went, oh my God, they were friends, Albert Einstein and Marian Anderson. So I was fascinated by that, by what brought them together in long-term friendship. But beyond that, the play deals with their friendship at significant moments in their lives, primarily based around racial incidents, being denied a room at an inn, as you just said, and the period in which Marian Anderson was denied by the Daughters of the American Revolution the right to sing at Constitution Hall, told she could not sing there. No Black performer would be allowed to sing there. And as a result, she found her voice somewhere else at a significant concert at Lincoln Memorial. So the play is in a certain period, it's in the 1937 and 1939, that it is theatrically, it's good and exciting, but socially and politically, it's very, very sad that much of what is discussed in this play deserves to be discussed right now, and we need to be reminded that these inequities and injustices still exist and still need to be fought, and people still need to find and raise their voices when inequities occur. And beyond the friendship with Albert Einstein, which obviously is fascinating, it really is about a woman who happens to be a very famous woman finding her voice. She was, prior to singing at Lincoln Memorial, she was rather reticent and reluctant about raising her voice about social and political matters. And she's actually pushed into it by another character in the play, Mary Church Terrell, who actually is a Washington resident and had been fighting the civil rights battle for many years before and many years after the time of the play.
Talk about Deborah Brevard and how she came across this topic and turned it into the play that will be presented at Ford's Theater.
Well, Deborah is a great opera lover and classical music lover. And I believe, if I'm right, that she was reading a biography of Marian Anderson. Maybe it was an autobiography. And she stumbled on this information. And she said, well, that's pretty fascinating that those two were drawn together. And in fact, you mentioned this before, but it was actually that Albert, he didn't hear about what happened at the Nassau Inn in Princeton. He was actually at her concert that night, and he walked her to the hotel. And when they got there and she wasn't allowed to check in, he was outraged that she was being treated that. He was outraged that Marian Anderson was being treated that way, but he was further outraged that any Black person, any person of color would be treated that way. And it's at that point that he said, well, I will take you in and you stay at my house and we'll be friends. And I hope you'll come back many times in the future, which she did. But I think it was all ignited in Deborah's mind by just reading that they were close friends and that incident had taken place at the Nassau Inn in Princeton. When we last talked, you asked me about why I had decided to take on the ongoing role. And it wasn't to get anything started. It was really just to help sustain and grow the diversity efforts that have been so much a part of Ford's Theater for many, many years, especially under Paul Tetra's tenure. It's been really at the heart of his mission, on stage and off, with the plays, with the casting, but also with serving audiences of color here in DC. Is really most important to all of us.
So come on out and have a wonderful evening at the theater. My Lord, what a night. October 1st through the 24th at Ford's Theater. Thanks again, Sheldon. We look forward to continuing more conversations with you because there's a lot going on. I won't even give a hint about there's one big thing that's coming up. So our audience is just going to have to wait for that. That means you have to come back. You have to come back.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Have a good rest of the day.
We're back, and I got 4 words. Thank God it's Friday! And just like any other Friday, we got all the trending news of the area, all the way from VA to Baltimore. Let's talk Jadakiss. Let's talk YouTube banning. Let's freaking talk Yo Gotti. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to What's Going On, DC. I'm your boy, the Media Prince, And you know I'm all things DC, Maryland, and VA. So let's get started on a bizarre note. There have been sightings of zebras in Upper Marlboro. Yes, zebras. Take a look. According to Baller Alert and the Washingtonian, a new report has crowned DC, yes, DC, as the best city for dating. Now, I know some of y'all are looking like, I know you lying, but we want to hear from you. Tell us if you agree. Wale posts this tweet, and the I is tired, and all of us spoke up because this has happened to us all. So we all know today's price is not yesterday's price. Well, the man who helped anchor that, the Jadakiss, has a message for DMV's own Corday. Take a look.
You're incredible. I love you. Let Corday know he got to get one with Kiss for my bucket list. Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Man, wouldn't that be a fire collab? Our favorite guy, IDK, trademarks his name IDK. And look at what he will charge if he catches you saying IDK. Man, check out this message from him. And all artists, listen up.
So lucky right now because I've been doing this so long that the industry doesn't have expectations for me anymore.
Right.
Like when you first start popping off, they're like, he's going to be the next da-da-da. That's the worst one. I think I was going to be the next Kanye. I was going to be the next Kendrick Lamar.
Did you ever believe it even for a split second? Did it make you feel good?
I believed it. That the industry made me believe that. And then I started seeing, okay, that's how I used to think. I was like, Kendrick Lamar put out Section 80 at 23. By the time he was this age, he was that. So by the time I'm that age, I'm going to be this, da-da-da. And if I'm not that, then I failed. Like,
as we're collecting these keywords, empathy, expectation, vulnerability. Now we're talking about competition and comparison.
Oh, can I get into that? Please don't compare yourself to anybody. Every single person's story is different. There's no two stories that are the same.
Let's send big ups to B-More's own DJ Flow for continuously making strides in his area. Read this dope caption. And then take a look at the photos. So all my content creators of the area, YouTube is banning and blocking all anti-vaccine content. So if you're wondering why your content is not up and mysteriously missing, you know what time it is. The city celebrated the opening of the community-inspired Chase Bank. It just opened up a new location in Ward 7. This new branch is part of JP Morgan's Chase continued efforts, which was $30 billion, to help push equity in communities across the United States. VA's own Missy Elliott celebrating yet another TikTok craze of her music. Take a look.
Give me all your numbers so I can phone you.
This week marked the 36th annual Mayor Arts Awards, and we were there to capture the entire night. Let's take a look at what's going on in DC outside. And shout out my epic boss. His camera skills are so damn dynamic. Hey, it's your boy, The Media Prince, and I want to welcome you to another edition of What's Going On DC Outside. Today, as you can see in the background, we are at the 36th annual Mayor Arts Awards here in DC, held at the Howard Theater. So tonight, we're just gonna be catching a vibe and seeing all the great acts we have of the DC area that makes up so much greatness here. And I got the boss with me tonight, so we're gonna move around. Come out with us.
I'm just like you, though we go through different versions of the same things.
Miles, Minnesota, and Matthew Crittenden. Give it up for him, y'all. Come on. Let him hear it.
Arts Award for Youth Creativity Award goes to...
Hi everyone. I would just like to thank God. I would like to thank my mom and dad because they've helped me conquer all of my achievements.
And the 2021 Larry Neal Writers Award goes to Jade Foster.
Jade Foster. I was born in Southeast Washington, D.C. Peace, family. How y'all doing tonight? Good. I do have to say before I get started, Southside is in the building tonight. Okay. Period.
The 2021 Mayor's Arts Award for Fashion and Beauty Industries goes to the museum.
What's up, D.C.? It is National Sons Day, so I'm glad I could be up here with my sons.
And the 2021 Mayor's Arts Nightlife Award goes to Mitch Mathis.
Honored to receive this award tonight on behalf of DC Nation. That's our promotional group.
Brown, one of the winners tonight. How did it feel?
Awesome. It felt amazing. I've been activating in the scene for quite a while, creating, curating, activating, connecting with the community. It's felt awesome, awesome, awesome.
In 3 words, how would you describe tonight?
Accomplished, recognized, seen.
And then we have it. This weekend, Mayor Bowser and the District Department of Transportation welcomes back Open Streets DC. It will be located this year on Georgia Avenue Northwest between Berry Place and Missouri Avenue. So cars, you can pretty much count those streets out. The event will offer a wide range of fun and family activities. Get out there. Now last but certainly not least, let's talk Yo Gotti. The Memphis spitting rapper has become the co-owner of our soccer team here, DC United. Take a look.
Turn the music up, turn me down. Cool. Let's go get them again. It's time for the money, my nigga.
Well, that's it, folks. Until next week, we are headed out. For all this and more, take your butt to wibridgedc.com so that you don't ever miss out on the bridge greatness and what's happening in the area. Make sure you follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube, and follow those hashtags WGODC and WIBridgeTMP style. Now, we're signing off. Have a good weekend.
Couple times, and no, you don't need to know why, 'cause I'm not wearing a ring, I'm not your wife. You say I never listen, never committed, always do my own thing, not messing with it, but you never let me know your intentions, so stop acting like you are my man until I you're serious to me, or just another person on my wait list. 1, 2, 3, everybody's chasing after me. 4, 5, 6, he's throwing a fit. 7, 8, I'm bored. 9 and 10, I'm done with him. I said I'm done with him. 7, 8, I'm bored. 9 and 10, I'm done with him. You're taking me too serious. You're getting real deep into this. Why do you insist on asking too many questions? We already discussed what this is and what it isn't. Don't need to know where I go, it's not your place. Don't need you calling up my phone, I need space. But we both know at the end of the day, you're still calling me, babe. We already know this, all this love mess is bogus. If you wanna go golden, I'll be good in my own. And never needed you as a man, never needed you as my friend. Never letting myself get it touched like this again. 1, 2, 3, everybody's chasing after me. 4, 5, 6, he's throwing a fit. 7, 8, I'm bored. 9 and 10, I'm done with. I'm done with him. 1, 2, 3, everybody's chasing after me. 4, 5, 6, he's throwing a fit. 7, 8, I'm bored. 9 and 10, I'm done with him.
Ramsey Renee is a multifaceted artist. She is a singer, songwriter, musician, producer. She loves her work and she's very serious about her craft and her business and her music. And she loves the people who listen to her music and she loves her music. And she's always striving to become more. My creative process is pretty it's just triggered by little things. Like if I hear a noise or if somebody says something, I'm like, can you repeat that? And I put it in a song. I also have a million memos in my phone, at least 600. I don't know how many albums that is, but it's a lot. So it's basically just anything. Anything I hear, anything I see, I'm like, ooh, I need to go write this or I should jot this down. I would say what inspires me to create is my own emotional well-being, my feelings. I write whenever I can't explain what's going through my mind or how I'm feeling. So it's always that voice in the back of my head that's you need to go write a song about this if you can't talk about it or if nobody's understanding it, your piano will. So I would say that is what inspires me to create. You can find me on all social medias at Ramsey Sings, RAMSEYSINGS, and you can go listen to my music under Ramsey Renee, RAMSEYRENEE.